I will tell you first the address of my research, the effect of climate change on inflation and economic growth in Egypt. I want to introduce my professors and students shared me in making this research. First one, me, Rania Mohamed Elmorsy. I am from Delta Higher Institute for Management and Accounting System. Also part-time in New Mansoura University. And Dr. Ali Sherif Wardah, professor in New Mansoura University. And Dr. Mahmoud Kamal Abouraia is in MCPS in Oman. Also, the lecturer Shawky Taha, student Malak Ahmed, Kholoud Khaled, Ezzat Abdelnasser, Noor Tarek. Finally, Dr. Walaa Saad Khalifa, New Mansoura University, and Menoufia University. The outline of our research, first one, introduction, then the Egyptian context, then research hypothesis, research objectives, data and methodology, results, implications, and recommendation. First of all, we will introduce our research point. The surge in economic activities worldwide has led to an escalation in greenhouse gas emissions, driven by both developed and developing nations. Despite the diverse environmental impact of human economic endeavors, Egypt's total greenhouse gas emissions have exhibited a significant increase over the past 3 decades. In 1990, Egypt emitted 134 million tons of carbon dioxide, equivalent to CO2 emissions, which surged to 352 CO2 emissions by 2019. Despite effort to address economic challenges, growth declined to 4.2% in fiscal year 2023, accompanied by persistently high inflation rates. Notably, the electricity and heat sector emerged as a significant contributor to greenhouse gas emissions, highlighting the sector's pivotal role in the country's economic landscape. The transportation sector emerged as the second largest emitter in 2019, contributing 55.3 million tons of CO2 equivalent CO2 emissions between 2005 and 2019. Emissions from transportation surged by 76%, indicating substantial growth in this domain. Now we will talk about, in the introduction, about the Egyptian context. Reforms and FDI. Egypt implemented significant economic reforms, attracting foreign direct investment and transitioning toward a market-oriented economy. Also, GDP growth in Egypt, despite setbacks, GDP growth rounded, reaching 5.3% in 2018 and 5.6% in 2019. What are challenges in our research? Persistent challenges include historic inflation rates, physical pressures, limited FDI, and socioeconomic disparities. Also, the poverty. Nearly 30% of Egypt's population live below the poverty line. Our hypothesis in our research, we have two hypotheses. H0, there is no effect of climate change on economic growth in Egypt. H1, the effect of climate change on economic growth in Egypt is negative. Our research objective. The objective of this study is to comprehensively investigate the impact of climate change on economic growth and inflation in Egypt, spanning from 1990 to 2020. The research aimed to examine the relationship between climate change indicators, including temperature fluctuations, occurrence of extreme weather events, and environmental degradation and economic growth in Egypt through the specified time frame. It analyzes the consequences of climate-related factors on inflation dynamics during the study period. Data and the methodology, as we find that our dependent variable is gross domestic product, while the independent variable are divided into variables represent two sides of climate change problem. First of all, the first variable is the gross domestic product as a dependent variable. Second variable, the adjusted net saving, total greenhouse gases, assimilate. The core reason of climate change means the main reason for climate change, adjusted net saving and greenhouse gas emissions, and renewable energy consumption, which represent a main way to confront the climate change, both of them considered as independent variables. This table present the abbreviation for each variables. G describe the gross domestic product, annual gross dependent variable. A and S, adjusted net saving, including particular emission damage. TGG, total greenhouse gas emissions. T2, and we calculate by KT of CO2 equivalent. R, renewable energy consumption, percentage of total final energy consumption. Our methodology in our study, we utilize data from the World Bank to investigate the relationship between various variables. We employed two autoregressive distributed lag ARDL models. Here are the specifiers. Model 1, we have two models in our research. First model, dependent variable green domestic product in current prices. We analyzed how changes in the independent variable impact the current prices GDP. Model 2, dependent variable real growth rate of GDP. We explored the effect of independent variables on growth rate of GDP, accounting for inflation adjustment. Our result, first one, the result of the first ARDL model estimations revealed several important findings. First one, we identified a positive and statistically significant relationship between renewable energy consumption and GDP. This suggests that higher level of renewable energy consumption contribute positively to economic growth in Egypt. Conversely, total greenhouse gas emissions didn't exhibit a statistically significant impact on GDP during the specified period. In the short run, while all of the dependent variables affect positively in the beginning of our analysis, the effect of the both of adjusted net saving and total greenhouse emissions become negative in the third leg. In the long run, only renewable energy consumption has a positive effect on GDP. Moreover, the analysis highlighted the negative influence of adjusted net saving on GDP. The finding implies that factors contributing to adjusted net saving, which include particular emission damage among others, have adverse effect on economic growth in Egypt. The results of the second ARDL model manifest the following insights. Adjusted net saving appear to have a detrimental impact on economic growth, underscoring the need for policies aimed at improving sustainability and environmental management. The greenhouse gas emissions show a complex relationship with economic growth, with recent past emission positively influencing gross domestic product growth. Renewable energy consumption exhibit potential positive effect on economic growth, although further investigation into its role is warranted given its marginal significance. Our implication and recommendation according to the result we presented to you, my dear professor, now, policy implications from this study emphasize the necessity for policymakers to prioritize strategies aimed at promoting renewable energy sources to foster sustainable economic growth. Also, the observed negative impact of adjusted net saving on GDP highlight the determinantal effect of certain environmental and economic factors on Egypt's economic performance. Interestingly, the lack of a significant impact of total greenhouse gas emission on GDP during the study period suggests the need for further investigation into the specific composition and sources of greenhouse gas emissions in Egypt. To better understand their economic implications, the observation align with call for non-said analysis of green gas emissions and their economic ramifications as advocated by scholars such as Smith et al. 2024. The adjustment for nominal GDP to real GDP growth in our analysis aims to mitigate biases introduced by inflation and the nominal price changes. The methodological refinement is consistent with the best practices recommended in economic growth, or as highlighted by various studies, including that of Johnson et al. 2022, which emphasized the importance of using real GDP to accurately assess economic tendencies. Thank you very much for listening for my presentation. Any question, I am ready for answer it.